My name's Halina. I am part of the TYCI team and I have been there since the start. Live in Glasgow, do music for a living, quite lucky. It's been a pretty crazy few years, especially the last 8 have been a bit mad. So I suffer from anxiety. I have done since I was at university. Since I went to university quite late when I was about 21, and it kind of progressed into agoraphobia, which I was quite fortunate that didn't last as long as it does for quite a lot of people. But I still kind of get the odd almost panic attack, and I suffered from severe panic attacks for quite some time, and I still get anxiety regularly, which is obviously quite common, but I didn't actually realise that so many people kind of suffered from it. So I don't want to use the word comforting, but it's quite nice to know that there's other people that are going through the same thing. It's very bizarre actually. People take things for granted, such as public transport. Trains are really bad for me. It's not necessarily long journeys, it's short journeys it's quite strange. Even on buses, if there's too many people around me, or if there's people sitting behind me, I always like to sit at the back and be able to look at everything in front of me. I don't like things happening behind me. Trains are the worst. There was one time that I actually was like screaming and banging the windows to get off the train because I was hyperventilating, and it was so bad. And planes just don't happen. The most normal one's breathing, just counting in my head, thinking about things that are nothing to do with it. The more you think about it, obviously, the worse it gets. Exercise has become something that I was always scared if my heart rate went too high, then I wouldn't be able to bring it back down again. And so exercise, I've now kind of really scientifically and biologically kind of learnt how my body works in these situations. Staying away from certain things. I am going to be completely honest. When I was at university, I was quite bad, and I did take lots of drugs, and I drank quite a lot, and I think that's probably did contribute to things. It makes me feel really stupid, I think, is probably one word, because I feel I don't understand why it's happening to me. I don't understand why my brain is doing this. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of people being able to kind of live a carefree life and being able just to kind of, like I said before, take things for granted. I sit on trains now and even looking at the countryside and stuff, and I kind of really am so happy that I can do that. I don't know, I accept it. I just accept it as part of me now. I don't think it'll ever go away. But it's a funny thing at the same time. I don't know if I ever really do want it to go away, because I've managed to mentally work through this crazy journey, and it's the mind over matter thing that it makes you completely overwhelmed at how incredible we are as human beings. Well, I let it get to a point that it was too bad. When I lived in a flat with 3 girls, just when I'd recently moved to Glasgow, and I didn't really, I'd gone through a turbulent time with my work. I was bullied at work, and from my childhood I was physically abused when I was a child. Not sexually, I have to stress, but I was physically abused quite often. So I think that, and it was a mental abuse. Because I'm overweight, I think that this is a major, it kind of affects everything, because of the way I look, and that's the fear that everyone's looking at me as well. But so I lived in this flat, and for some reason, because it was a basement flat, there were bars on the window, and it obviously was like a prison almost. And for some reason, it just clicked in, and I just got too scared to leave. And even going out the back to bring the rubbish out to the garden was just too much for me. And my brother lived in Glasgow at the time. He came down to visit me, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." And after he was visiting me quite regularly, he's like, "Have you been to work?" And I was lying. I'd taken 2 weeks off. And unfortunately, my work didn't really understand what was going on as well. And they implied that I wasn't telling the truth about my condition as well. So my brother came in, and I broke down, and I said, "I haven't been out the house for 2 weeks." And so he told my mum. My mum she still lives in Dunoon, and she came up, and she had to take me out of the house. I was like an old woman, and for your mum to see like that is probably the most upsetting thing. And I was horrified, absolutely horrified. So, and she didn't understand what I was going through either. So she was just like, she's a nurse. So she's like, "Right, you're just being stupid, come on." And I was like, "You don't understand what I'm going through. I can't do this." So eventually I actually got psychotherapy, and I managed to walk around the block, and it was like the happiest moment of my life. And I just promised myself there and then, I said, "I will never moan about anything again," which is obviously a complete lie, because I still moan about things. But I was just so happy to be outside, and I just thought, I'm never going to take things for granted again. I think back to your original kind of question, never feel that you are a burden on anyone. Always speak to everyone, no matter how stupid you think it is. And there are so many people out there that they may not understand what they are going through, and they may not have established what they're going through, but it will, no doubt, there'll be someone that's going through the same thing. I went to a group called Steps in the south side of Glasgow, in a place, the Langside Halls. And when I was really bad, I had went to the doctor, and they told me about this group. And so I was even scared about getting out of the house to go to this place. But it was a series of about 12, 13 weeks, and they go through the whole process. It really educated me. And I suppose the most upsetting thing for me in that whole thing was how many people were in that room. Yeah, it's quite bad. I didn't realise how many people kind of suffered from it. But yeah. At first I thought, they're not going to understand what I'm going through. And then when they started talking about it, and it was the relief of knowing what I was going through, I was like, I'm not dying, and my heart rate's just going more, faster than it should be. And yeah, that was the biggest relief, I think, out of everything. There wasn't something seriously wrong with me. It was kind of a natural thing that was happening to my body.